Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. So this is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, avatars, DC universes, whatever that means right now. I am your host, DJ Woldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Stryer. Roxy, good morning.
DJ, you know what we never talk about? Music. That's so weird.
It's so funny that you mentioned that. I was just on Maud Garrett, friend of the show. She has a show on AMP. And she invited me on, and she's like, I guess it's like a radio show almost. She's like, I need 5 songs from you. And I was like, I'm so sorry, songs? I've never. And so then I had to think about like, what's any song? And she's like, any song. I'm like, yeah, what do I want to? And I was very fortunate that week was the previous episode, I guess the last episode of the year of Abbott Elementary, which had Vince Staples on it. So I was like, perfect jumping off point. Here's my favorite Vince Staples track. And then I was like, okay, so we're kind of in hip hop. Here's a POS track I like, and here's an Aesop Rock track I like. And so I was able to kind of like build off of that. But it's like, you're right, we never talk about music.
Yeah. Maybe 2023. Hey, we're always growing.
Yeah.
I like music. You like music, and we are into it sometimes. So heyo.
It's funny because, and I talked about this on the show with her, that like, you know, with movies and TV and comics, because it's something I've wanted to do, I kind of know how they work, and it makes it easier for me to break it down and kind of like, this is why this didn't work for me, this is why this did. With music, it's like magic. I have no musical ability that I am aware of, and so like when people are like, oh, why'd you like this track, I'm like, I don't know, it sounds good. I don't know.
I think that what you're pointing out, but just not verbalizing because you are humble, is that you're an expert in one of these fields. Like, you understand movies and TV, and in the other field you're not. So I get it. Like, you're in one of them, you're coming out as purely a fan, and the other you're coming out as an educated expert.
Well, and just because, you know, it's like, you want to do a thing, you're like, okay, so how does it work? And it's like music. I said, I don't know. So for you, how do I want to phrase this question? Because it's a tough music. Roxy, what is music to you? No, what do you like as music? What are some of your go-to musics?
Yeah, so I don't know if I think you probably know this at some point. I came up in the music industry.
Ooh, yeah. Well, yes,
My dad worked in the music industry, so I don't know in 2022 or 2023 how music works. Like, the whole Spotify, Apple thing changed completely how music, it just completely changed. But I did know how the sausage was made at one point.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big rock and roll fan in my core till I die. Rock music, just like hardcore, not hardcore rock music.
Yeah.
I hardcore
love rock music. Yes.
And then my second favorite genre is disco. I'm like completely obsessed with disco music.
Love it.
Like Donna Summer, Diana Ross. I just love dancing. I'm so bad at it. So I love disco. And then growing up with my brother, he would drive me to school every day, and that was always rap and hip hop. Yeah. So I feel like I like jazz, but don't know shit about it. I don't love country and don't know shit about it.
Yeah.
Don't know much classical, but everything else, I feel like I have a bit of a solid base, except for current. I don't know what current music is except for TikToks.
Yeah.
I'll be like bopping along, singing a song, and one of my friends will be like, oh, I didn't know you listened to the new blah, blah, blah album. And I'm like, oh, no, that's a TikTok song.
Yeah. I just know that from TikTok. Oh, and it's a bummer, too. And I've not gotten really into TikTok, but it is a bummer. Like, you hear like Unholy by Sam Smith, and you're like, oh, this is a pretty good track. And then you see it a billion times with TikToks, and it's like, well, now you've ruined it. You've ruined it.
Totally. Like, I've never been a Swiftie, but the other day I was like walking, I'm like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me, which is just like a TikTok that we've seen 5,000 times. I kept going. And somebody was like, oh, I didn't know you were a Swiftie. And I was like, not only did I not know that was Taylor Swift, but I actually hate that song now because of TikTok.
It's not even the song's. It's not even the song's fault. It's just too much. You've just done it too much.
No, I'm newly on dating apps, and it's been like a whole whirlwind. No. But this guy wrote to me the other day. He said something, and then he said, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. And I just didn't respond. And then a week later, he said, not a Swiftie? And I said, no.
Yeah.
And he was like, good to know.
Yeah.
And I was
Cool.
like, at this point, that song like irks me.
Yeah. Please stop. Don't do it. Yeah, and I appreciate your love of disco because I like punk music, and I feel like there's a kindredness there in that both are kind of, in the modern sense, are kind of dead.
Are you into pop punk or punk? Like, what kind of punk?
Because of the environment I grew up in as a kid, it was a lot of pop punk. Now, not really more. And I do have to say, I mentioned this on the show with Maud. If I mention a musical act or a song or something, you're like, oh, that's cool or not well known. It is because of my best friend is very musically inclined, and so everything good I listened to was brought to me by him. But like I'll listen to like more. Modern punk acts like Fiddler is a group I like. I also like Idols, although I think that's more post punk than it is traditional punk.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
Do you like Yellow Card, Blink 182, like pop punk old school when we were coming up, or not into that?
Not into that now. At the time, I would have when I was younger, I would have been a Yellow Card, but I don't really listen to that. Most of my music consumption happens. Let's say I'll take something in the evening to relax, and so I'm just chilling and I'm vibing, and I'll just put on
like a bath.
Sure, why not? Let's just say that. And I'll put on whatever. So sometimes, and it's mood. So sometimes I'm in more of I want something more amped up, like something like a Fiddler that's more punk related. Sometimes I'm in a more hip hop mode. Sometimes I'm in sad songs. I'll listen to fucking or like more chill, like Kevin Morby, and I'll listen to Chet Faker shit and stuff like that. It just depends on where the mood moves me.
Do you like any classic punk like Sex Pistols or Clash or anything like that? Or it's all kind of current and underground?
But I think it's mostly current. I'll listen to some Black Flag. I'll listen to some Office, actually more current too. But Anti-Flag occasionally, stuff like that. And see now, I've tapped of my musical knowledge. It's gone.
I think in 2023, every week we're going to bring you the song that we're listening to that week the most.
That's not the worst idea. That's not the worst. A new song. Here's the song club. Listen, it's only like 6 minutes. 6 minutes if it's an ambitious song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's dive into it. Surprise everybody. We're not talking about music today. We're talking about Avatar. But before we do that, let's do some news because gosh dang it. Wait, no, it's not even, I haven't even done the beginning part. Review us on iTunes, 5 stars, Spotify. We ask a question. Last week's question was, what is your favorite Marvel Phase 4 movie? Ray Alvarez says, I liked the documentary Director by Night about Michael Giacchino's directorial debut better than any Phase 4 movie. Really, it's Spidey 3, Strange 2, and Werewolf by Night. Yeshu Wazalewski said it's Black Panther Wakanda Forever for sure, but if I had to say one, I'd watch if I had to say one, I'd watch the most, probably Multiverse of Madness. And Stefan Julian said, while Wakanda Forever had some of the best scenes in Phase 4, No Way Home wins it for me despite the rocky start. So those are your guys' thoughts. And also, of course, if you're listening to this and you want more of me and Roxy, you can go over to patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. You can get early access to episodes like our holiday content. You can check out Spider-Versity. Sal and I just finished season 3 of Spider-Man the Animated Series. And Roxy and I have a show called What We're Into. And that's where if you want to know our thoughts on the Barbie trailer and the Across the Spider-Verse trailer, you're going to have to go to Patreon for that. Kids and cats. Now, did it. Now we're in the news. Roxy.
DJ.
It's been a roller coaster for a week. Oh
my God.
I'm gonna run through it. If I miss a step, let me know.
Okay.
It started with, I want to say it was Deadline or Variety, whoever was like, Wonder Woman 3's not happening. Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot have been kicked to the curb. And then James Gunn on Twitter was like, some of that, and there was a bunch of stuff like Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo now, shit like that. But the headline was no more Wonder Woman 3. James Gunn was like, some of that's true, some of it's not true, some of it we're not sure if it's true yet. Then Patty Jenkins, I guess there were some other articles that spilled out, and Patty Jenkins felt inclined to reply that like, hey, I didn't leave Wonder Woman 3. I was told they're not moving forward with it. P.S. If we still want to do a Rogue Squadron, I'm technically under contract for that. So maybe we can get that cooking again. Then that would have been enough. That would have been enough for a whole episode in and of itself. Then Henry Cavill posts something like, hey, by the way, remember like what, 3 weeks ago when I was like, hey, I'm Superman again? Surprise, I'm not anymore. And then, before even that, James Gunn, because apparently James Gunn replied to that. He's writing a brand new Superman movie.
Wait, James Gunn responded to Henry Cavill's post?
Not directly. He did a tweet that it was in response to the discussion around it, is my understanding. And he said they're focusing on a younger Superman younger in his career, so they're rebooting it, but it's not going to be an origin story, and he's writing it, but they don't know the director yet, and we'll know more about their slate at the beginning of 2023. Then, kind of tangentially related, it was just announced that Henry Cavill, if you thought, wow, Henry Cavill's taken the fact that he's leaving Witcher and Superman pretty well, turns out it's because he's got a new Warhammer show going to Amazon that he's not only starring in but producing. And for those that have been following Henry Cavill, he is a fan of that franchise, so that's a pretty big news for him. So that is what I got. Did I miss anything?
Well, there was this one weird caveat that I was like, wait, what happened here? We're about 5 hours, maybe a little longer, before it was announced that Henry Cavill was doing Warhammer. Yeah. Did you see Raul Coley tweeted out, Henry Cavill, we should do Warhammer together, get at me or something?
I did not.
And I was like, was that an announcement? Or he was like, hey, at Henry Cavill, like, Warhammer? ? Talking about like something about it, and I had seen the tweet, and I was like, is he pitching a project? And then it was announced, and then I was like, wait, what just happened?
Either because Raul Coley, friend of the show, is also a big Warhammer fan, so maybe he was just like wishing on a star.
Could have been a weird coincidence.
Could have been, or maybe he heard through the grapevine that was a thing that was happening. It's like, I need to get in on this shit. Like, hey, if this is happening, remember me.
I feel like that's like a text message situation, maybe.
So you're thinking maybe coincidence, and he was just kind of hoping, wishing, waiting.
I don't know. I really couldn't tell what was happening. I'm gonna pull up the exact tweet, and it was like straight up like 6 hours before it came out. He responded about it right now. Okay, so he tweeted and he said, "Hey Henry, fuck it, let's make a Warhammer movie / limited series. Kind regards, Raul." And then the announcement came out of 6 hours later. So I guess 5 hours ago, he just said, LOL. Okay, so firstly, I had zero idea this was already a thing. After seeing Henry's post about soups, I just felt like a Warhammer project would put a smile on his face, so I tweeted. Secondly, I'm over the moon that this has been announced officially. That's wild.
That is nuts. And I know his boy Mike Raul's been in a lot of Mike Flanagan stuff. Mike Flanagan's making the jump to Amazon with the Dark Tower series, so he has connections within the Amazon family now. So who knows? I want the best for both of them.
This is the least big part of the news story, but just so I know, like, what is Warhammer?
Warhammer is a somebody in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Warhammer is a tabletop RPG similar to Dungeons and Dragons. Unlike Dungeons and Dragons, my understanding is it is more based around, it is a dice-based like strategy RPG. However, figurines factor into it more, like little paintable figurines that represent your character or your army. It is a combination of dark fantasy and sci-fi. It takes place 40,000 years in the future. There are evil aliens, there's evil magical entities, and there's evil humans. The other thing I understand about Warhammer is that it is bleak. It is one of my sci-fi movie I really love. That the second I started talking about it just fucking ejected from my brain. Fuck me. There's a sci-fi movie I really like that's fucking dark as shit.
Annihilation.
No, god damn it, fuck it. You know, it's a cascade starts happening, and you can't
Yeah.
even remember the. Okay, hold on. I can't multitask. I got to do this real quick. Boom, boom. Here we go. We're gonna get there, everybody. Be patient with me. But I know this is a dark sci-fi movie, and fans of Warhammer, I believe, have kind of like grafted onto it as like a in their head canon. It is part of it, and that movie's name, fuck me, god damn it, is I can't find it.
I want to bail you out, but I just don't
You
know
just
how.
can't. And I'm going to be on Event Horizon. Thank you. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really like IMDb's changed its format. I don't like it. But Event Horizon, I know fans of Warhammer. My understanding is fans of Warhammer have like adopted Event Horizon as like a unofficial prequel. And for those that don't know, Event Horizon is fucking dark. My understanding is Warhammer is also pretty like. There aren't really good guys. It's just shades of bad. It's just shades of bad. That is my what I've gleaned. If anybody is a hardcore Warhammer fan in the chat, please tell me if I'm wrong. Did that help? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit. Yeah. People seemed stoked about this. And I was like, it's so weird. I feel like my finger's on the pulse usually. And I don't know what this is.
I think it's just developed a community because it's not only the same similar communities of tabletop RPGs, but also a community around painting the figurines. Just like people, like I know it's big in Japan to do like model kits. That's one of the big things with like Gundam. You make the models of the robot, but it's not a community I'm in. I just know basically from following Raul and Henry Cavill that it's a thing.
I hope Raul's in this.
That would be
He
great.
deserves it.
Unless I've heard people fan cast him as like a really big part of Dark Tower. Unless he's like the lead in Dark Tower, then yes, I hope he's. I don't know how he could do both, but God bless him. I hope good things. So it seems like we basically got confirmation that going back to the DC of it all, that what is functionally a hard reboot, right? That's what all this means. We're getting a hard reboot of the DC universe.
So my understanding is that in 2023, we're still going to have Shazam. We're still going to have Aquaman.
Yeah.
We're still going to have Flash, and we're going to have Blue Beetle. Mm-hmm. So those are going to be 4 movies that are in the theaters.
Yes.
And then after that, my understanding is that we will never see Ezra Miller, probably ever again.
Ever again, yes.
Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill as Superman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Ray Fisher as Cyborg, or whoever I'm missing as whoever I'm missing. Oh, yeah. Or Momoa as Aquaman, but possibly as Lobo.
Yeah.
So that is my understanding as of right now. I don't know if I'm calling it a hard reboot because I'm still not sure what their intentions are with. I mean, it's definitely a reboot of some type, but I don't know what their intentions are with like Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
I don't know what their intentions are with Harley Quinn. I don't know, or Suicide Squad, which is Gunn's jam.
Yeah.
I don't know what their intentions are with the Batman. And Pats.
There was rumors. I didn't read the articles about this, but there were rumors that James Gunn was going to try and incorporate the Batman into their universe, and then James Gunn shot that down. He's like, no, that's not what's happening.
Who was going to try to do it?
That the James Gunn was the rumor. Some articles said James Gunn's trying to fit the Batman into their universe, and James Gunn was like, no, that's not a thing that's happening.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just like. He's obsessed with the Suicide Squad, and maybe he does have enough wherewithal to know, like, even though it's my baby, everybody's baby is getting chopped. Yeah. Maybe that's chopped, but it does feel like, so we know Peacemaker is in this universe, like, so I don't know what his intentions are with hard reboot versus Justice League reboot. It's very clear we're doing a Justice League reboot.
Yeah. But I'm kind of with you that I don't see how you do a Justice League reboot without a reboot of I'm sorry, no Peacemaker season 2. Like this is not what we're doing anymore. And if people remember, this is kind of what I was pushing for before they announced Henry Cavill was coming back. Now it's a little weird. Now it's awkward.
Yeah, now it's awkward. Like I put out this tweet that was an absolute joke, and people some people thought it was funny, and some people were fucking livid with me about how like Warner Brothers is the worst ex of all time to Henry Cavill, like begging him to come back, and then being like, "Our bad, never mind." After he like leaves all his other partners, which is actually not what I think fully happened with The Witcher anyway. It was just a fucking joke.
Exactly.
But it was straight up through and through just a joke. Also, all the properties, DC is my thing.
Yeah.
That's like my jam. And I actually think this is probably the right choice.
Yeah.
So it's no knock on Gunn and Safran. I actually think they're doing what needs to be done, which is brutally painful and probably extremely detrimental for their personal relationships in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Gunn came into this or Safran came into this and was like, you know who I want to fuck with? Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Because he's got such short, no longevity in this industry. We don't need I think that sucked for them. I don't think they were stoked about that at all. Same thing with Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot. Like, I don't think any part of them was like, ooh, we don't like these people. Let's get rid of them. I think they were probably like, fuck, we know what we have to do, and that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
But for a long time on this show, DJ, you and I have been talking about like, what are we doing here? Like we fucked this up. Whether you love Zack Snyder's Justice League or not, whether you love some of the movies or not, they fucked it up.
Yeah.
They fucked up the starting point, by not doing a Batman movie before you did a BVS movie, by doing the Justice League and releasing the wrong cut. I'm putting that in quotes or whatever cut, a different cut. Like it has been far from seamless. And the best way to move forward very well might be stop.
Scored
enough. Basta. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of the impression I get, because it's like, because you just mentioned when you're like in the middle of, you didn't say it, but your intonation said it, like Ezra Miller, Ray Fisher, Ben Affleck, and obviously
Amber Heard.
And these are different. Obviously these are different situations for all of them. But it's like, it's a problem. Like half of our main casts, for one reason or another, it's a problem. Like, and do you want to build off of, do you want to try and like course correct and deal with all that baggage? It's like, well, if the goal is full connected universe, we're gonna start from scratch. And the good thing with Gunn, even though I don't necessarily like this situation and it is awkward for a variety of reasons, the good thing with Gunn is he has seen, speaking of how the sausage is made, over the MCU. Not saying that he should mimic that, but he at least knows how a functional engine works in this situation. And this is the first time in a while where it felt like people weren't guessing what to do. It's like, no, here's what we're doing. Here is the plan,
Right. But okay, so on that, DJ, do you think, two-part question.
Yes.
And we only get to the second part if you think the first part is yes.
Okay.
Do you think they, as in Gunn, Safran, and I guess Zaslav, have intentions on casting at least our big three, a Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman?
Yes.
Okay, you think that they are moving forward with those characters?
Well, yeah, because especially, James Gunn said he's writing the new Superman movie, so yes.
Yeah. So, but all three?
All three, yes.
Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
The one I'm a little unsure about is Batman. Again, I'm team, do integrate Matt Reeves' Batman into your universe. That doesn't sound like what's happening. So it's like, wait, so we're going to have two new Batman? Is the Batman gonna, is James Gunn's Batman going to get his own standalone Batman movie? I guess it does make sense because both of them will make money. I mean, like, it's not like somebody's going to be like, I'm not going to go see this Batman movie, right? So the only one I'm a little unsure about is Batman.
I don't know, DJ, even when you say that, like integrating Batman into their universe, I wonder if they're wondering if they should integrate their universe into Batman. Like, that Batman, that's the starting point of the next universe.
It's just weird. It sounds like that's not what they're doing. It's just weird that we're going to like reboot Batman twice within the span of, and there's going to be two new Batmen at the same time. It's kind of weird. But to your first question, yes, I do think we're going to recast them.
So for my second question, then, I want a month and a year. When are we going to hear who our Superman is?
If I'm being honest, I would not be surprised. I feel like this is a tight turnaround, but I feel like it right now it feels like they're moving quick. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a new Superman and also if we're doing Wonder Woman, Batman announcements by the end of 2023.
So within the next year, you believe we will know who are playing our big three?
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah. What do you think?
Like, I'm conflicted because I feel like, when did we get the announcement that Safran and Gunn were taking over? A month ago?
At most, it almost feels less than that.
So maybe a few weeks.
Yeah.
In that time, they have made some really lofty choices.
Yeah.
Clearly, like, they don't know everything they're doing, as they continue to say. Like, we're not sure everything we're doing, but they know what they're not doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that would cause me to believe that they are fully intending on releasing casting choices in the next year as well.
Yeah.
Because they have a 4-year deal. I just don't foresee this dragging. I think they've already thrown the axe down, and like, then they need to get us excited.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if James Gunn is like, especially uses the production timeline of the Marvel model. I wouldn't be surprised if like, hey, the new Superman movie is coming out in 2024. I think that's crazy, but like you said, it feels like things are moving very quickly, intentionally.
And they kind of need to. Like, I think that right now we have 4 movies coming out in 2023, and 3 of them might not be relevant.
Yes.
Like,
and
so then what are we going to...
The one that might be, you're saying, is possibly Blue Beetle?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, because you could, I'm with you, because you could say, actually, that's part of the new thing.
Yeah, because, I mean, unless there's references in Blue Beetle or, like, appearances, I suppose, that I'm unaware of.
Yeah.
I feel like they moved that from streaming to big screen.
Yeah.
I have to assume that that's part of their new plan.
Yeah.
That the first movie in their new plan is Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle. Do you think
that is Iron Man 1?
Yeah, that is Blue Beetle. Well, actually, that goes to a question we have. Mike Joyce, if you were in charge of the DC, this is from the Discord, if you were in charge of the DCU reboot, what would be the first movie you'd make?
I think if I'm in charge of the DC reboot, the first movie I make is the Superman movie.
Which it sounds like that's what they're angling for, is James Gunn's Superman. I agree with you. I would say Sam and I had a conversation about this years ago, and he made a pretty solid argument about making a Flash movie be your first intro in the universe. And the only tricky part of that is we're getting one. I also, there's not... there might be merit in using the Flash, like we've talked about, like Ezra Miller's Flash runs super fast at the end, and the movie ends with like a kind of a backdoor, like the last 10 minutes is a tease of like, hey, he broke the universe, here's the new one.
Yeah. I don't think I think Sam was probably accurate back in the day. Now, having a Flash, first of all, moving forward with Flash, we have to have Wally West. We cannot do another Barry Allen. I feel like Barry Allen should not be our main Flash at this point. It's not that would be impossible, but it's just like, are we just gonna? Well, and I guess the TV show's coming to an end, but
yeah, but I agree with you just because we just got two Barry Allens,
yeah,
but also how many Bruce Waynes have we had? So I guess you know what I mean.
yeah, totally. But Bruce Wayne is the only
I agree.
like. So
I agree. I listen. I agree with you. I think it should be Wally West. I just don't know that that's what they're going to do. Be what they do.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, like what will this new formation look like? But but going back to what you just said, I don't think we can start with the Flash because I don't think that that's like the bang that would get people super stoked.
Yeah,
I feel like you have to start with one of your big three.
Yeah.
And I don't think you start with Batman because you have a Batman right now. Like that just is not making full sense. And I don't think you start with Wonder Woman because I think you need to get people on board with this universe. And like, so we're not doing Wonder Woman 3 because we're doing Wonder Woman 1. Like, I'm not sure about that. And I do think that we haven't done a Superman movie since 2013.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a long time.
That's
that, it will be over 10 years away from doing a Superman movie. So, not that Superman hasn't been in a movie, but we haven't done a Superman
movie. Exactly. In 10 years. And in this environment, that back in the 70s, that wouldn't be that long. In this environment, that's a long time.
Right. And I do think he does set the tone in a lot of ways, universe speaking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that starting with him is the smartest choice. And I think if you start with him and people don't like it, but if you start with him and people love it, oh, by the way, for the audio listeners, that was a big
sigh.
Woof,
Yeah.
woof, sigh of woof. But if you start with him and they love it, it takes a lot of pressure off of the other actors that you've cast.
Yeah,
like now they're part of the world.
I am slightly worried with Gunn writing Superman, just because typically his sensibility wouldn't fit what I think makes Superman works. However, I'm hopeful that he is aware of that, and maybe he's gonna try and switch up what he normally does, because his stuff is normally more subversive and irreverent. And I'm not saying there isn't place for elements of that in a Superman script. That's just not Superman's bag. The same way it is Guardians and Suicide Squad.
I totally feel you on that. I do wonder. Okay, refresh my memory, DJ. What happened with Michael B. Jordan's Superman?
As far as I know, it is still out there. The one written by Tennant Hesse Coates.
Yeah.
As far as I know, based on the articles I was reading, it still is tentatively might be happening, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Like it was shelved or it was never shelved?
It was never shelved. It was never officially shelved. However, again, based on a previous universe and Batgirl and all of that, I would imagine Zaslav's not going to pony up for a second Superman.
And was Michael B supposed to be Superman, or am I forgetting who's supposed to be like Kal-El, or what was
my understand again, it was brought up again in some of the other articles I was reading. He wasn't supposed to play Kal-El. There's a couple different Black Superman from the comics that people were speculating it might be. I think he's producing with an eye to star, but it wasn't like confirmed that he would be starring in it.
What would be your thoughts on, just really going so nerdy on this, but like, if Robert Pattinson just is our Batman, and we've already started this new universe, and then we have Michael B. Jordan as our Superman in that universe.
Sure. Let's do it.
Because people like that universe, and I could actually see them playing off each other.
That was my pitch. My pitch is the Batman works. And honestly, in a vacuum, I do think there's merit in starting your universe with Batman, because it's a way to start grounded and build to crazier things. You start with something that's kind of closer to our world, and then you introduce Superman, which is a little bit more out there, and then you introduce Wonder Woman, which is theoretically even a little bit more out there, and then you introduce, right? So listen, I'm fine with building off the Batman. I don't know that Michael B. Jordan would be my first choice as Clark Kent. Superman, because typically the characters he play are a little bit more internally conflicted, a little bit more angry, a little bit. That kind of tends to be his, similar to the way I don't know that James Gunn is the first person that pops into my mind to write a Superman movie. Not to say that they can't switch it up. That's a big part of artistic endeavor, is trying something different. But I will say, in my mind, I can see the Batman v Superman poster of Robert Pattinson on one side and Michael B. Jordan on the other side, and I would spend money on that movie. I would go see that movie.
I know. I'm with you. I am with you, though. Is there any world in which we stop the Batman movies after the second one?
Listen, under normal circumstances, I would say absolutely not. At this point, I think everything's on the table.
And like stop those series, anything that was moving forward, Penguin show, all that, we did it. And like, we just really streamline. And they're like, no, when we said goodbye to Henry, we are saying all of you guys wrap your shit up.
Yeah.
Because in 2 years, you're not going to be around.
Under normal circumstances, I would say no, like Todd Phillips' Joker 2, sorry, bye-bye. We're not doing it. I would say that'd be crazy, but these are crazy times. I think I could see a conversation being like, hey, your options are you're now part of our universe, or with Matt Reeves' Batman, or bye. Although based on reports, it seems like Robert Pattinson is more interested in the idea of being in a shared universe than Matt Reeves is. So you could keep Robert Pattinson's Batman even if Matt Reeves is like, no, I don't want it to be connected. You could be like, ooh, sorry, too bad, my guy.
Yeah, I guess that Zaslav is really giving them all the power.
I mean, and we'll see. Listen, this could all change in a couple months. I'm not, and then reports seem to be hinting that maybe Zaslav's trying to streamline Warner Brothers to be something he can sell to like Universal, and then they might want to have their own plan. Who knows? I'm interested in the new year. I am interested to see what James Gunn and Safran pitch. I'm interested to see how they pitch it. Are they just going to like post it on Twitter, or are they going to do like a presentation? What is it going to be? Because you want to get people excited for it. A lot of unknowns.
Ray Fisher has been awfully quiet during this time period. I looked at his Twitter. He didn't say anything in 6 days. I was like, right?
What
do you think?
A flex if James Gunn and Peter Safran were able to bring Ray Fisher back. They were like, everybody's gone. Ray Fisher, welcome back.
It must have been something they talked about.
Yeah.
I think that they're talking about everything. Like, I think every single thing is on the table.
Yeah. Yep. We'll find out hopefully soon enough. But listen, we need to talk about the other big space whale in the room and talk about Avatar, The Way of Water. So we're going to go on an ad break and we'll be right back. Oh my goodness, we are back and we are here speaking about over 10-year waits. I don't remember when the first Avatar came out. We're
13 years ago.
Oh my God. We're talking about Avatar, The Way of Water. And before we get into the new one, Roxy, I don't feel like we've talked about it before, but I don't remember. What was your experience with the first Avatar? What are your thoughts on the first Avatar?
I rewatched it last week, but prior to that, I had seen the movie once. It was in theaters.
Same.
It's one of my only theater-going experiences I remember. And by remember, I mean there was a lot of drama going on in my life that day.
Yes.
I had eaten myself a ton of edibles, and I had gone to the movies to watch Avatar in college. It was 2009.
That sounds like a good way to go see that movie.
And I was really living.
Yeah.
I remember watching it and thinking, whoa. Mm-hmm. And that was about like the extent of my thoughts on it. It was before I just started film school. It was before I was really like well-versed in what was going on.
Yeah.
I knew that I loved movies and TV, but didn't really know how to speak about them. I didn't know what made this so different. I didn't think about like, is the story good or bad or whatever. I just remember watching and being like, whoa. That looked fucking insane. And then like never thinking about it again. And then flash forward to me having to bring it up on every show ever about any kind of box office related thing because it just made all of the money. And then people also being like really mad about it. The story sucks. It's another white savior story. I took James Cameron away from making gold, or other people being like, it's a visual masterpiece, like la la la. And I kind of was always like, huh. Upon rewatching it, I think everybody's right. I think that it is a totally weird story that if you overthink, you'll just be like, I hate this.
Yeah.
But if you don't think about it and you just like let yourself live in La La Land, it still looks sick.
Yeah. For me, I remember the theater experience going well, but for different reasons. It was like right before I moved out to LA. I already know I was coming out to LA to pursue my dream. But I hadn't left yet. And Avatar came out and I saw it in 3D, and everybody was talking about it being like the future of cinema. And I remember walking out of the theater being really fucking sad, like really sad, like to the point where I was like, well, if this is really like where things are going, I don't want to play. Like almost like, am I making a mistake going out to LA? Because if this is what we're doing, I don't wanna. It didn't.
Why were you so sad?
Because of that. Because I thought people were saying like this is what every movie's going to be now, and I was like, oh, that sucks, and I don't want to make this kind of movie. And if this is what we're doing now, which is kind of true in some senses. I do feel like James Cameron is the one old school director that does not get to complain about Marvel movies being just a ride. It's like Martin Scorsese, sure. James Cameron, I'm sorry, you don't get to make that specific complaint. But
he hasn't. It's not that
not that he has. He's just the one that doesn't get to. He just doesn't want. He's the one that doesn't get to.
If we saw that quote, if James Cameron came out and was like, they're not actors. These movies are not real movies. Yeah, he should do that. That would be fucking hysterical.
That would be great. And it went on to make all the money. And it's just one of those, like, Titanic, I get. Titanic's not my jam, but I get it. And rewatching it, it's tough. It was tough. I tweeted about it. I find Avatar the first one kind of embarrassing. Like, I'm embarrassed for James Cameron that this is the movie he decided to make. I'm embarrassed for all of us that we made it all the money in the world. And so I went into Way of Water being like, it's been 13 years. I've never liked this movie. This is a big hurdle. And I actually liked it. Like, we'll start with spoiler free. We will get into spoilers because it's hard to talk about without spoilers. But I was like, oh, you know what? If this movie makes all the money, I will be significantly less bothered than the first one because I think it just works better as a movie.
Huh. I'm with you in the sense that it's a better film, just straight up. But if this movie makes all the money, it feels like we didn't do anything the last 13 years.
It feels like we didn't learn anything. That's a good point.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I'm not saying that it won't make, I mean, it's definitely going to break $1 billion for sure. And possible to break 2 billion, I guess. I don't think it's going to hit that 2.7 or whatever that first one hit.
Yeah.
But I would put this at like 1.7 or something. I think this is going to make a ton of fucking money.
Yeah. And it will be tough. Realistically, it'll be tough to beat the first one because we just came out of a pandemic. The environment's different, Yeah,
and that movie was released multiple times, and it was a whole fucking jam, and it was the first time we're seeing things like that. But just like in 2022, and maybe because I just have a much clearer, like I just talked about in 2009, I didn't know about the film space really much, and now in 2022, I know a bit more. I don't understand why this movie would dominate, and I liked the movie.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know if you and I had different, I thought like, oh, you know what? For once, I'm going to kind of be on the same page with everybody. I enjoyed this one. And then I saw reactions and some people were like, it was a religious experience. It's like, oh, well, I just liked it. I didn't, it's not like it.
That's exactly how I feel, DJ. Like, I walked out of this movie and was like, oh, I'm glad that story was better.
Yeah.
The dialogue is still... not working. For the dialogue is still what it is.
Yeah, we're not moving mountains here. It's just it's just better.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's a good movie that looks sick and really, I don't know about the religious experience, but I'm watching it and I'm just like, oh my God, so cool what we can do.
Yeah.
Like, look what we can do. It's kind of like when you watch a gymnast.
Yes.
And you're like, how does your body move like that? Like, how can humans do that? That's kind of how I feel about Avatar when I watch it. I'm like, how'd you guys make this?
Yeah.
Like, I really am asking myself, and through the first one too, but through the second one, everything with the water, I'm like, how'd you do that?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do that? That's
Yeah.
crazy to me that humans could do that.
Yeah.
Like, you guys created this, you imagined it, and then you made it. That's sick. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
But at its core, for this movie to make over $2 billion, to me is like, our world is weird, man. Like,
Mm-hmm. Well, I think in some ways the basic, almost like primal nature of the story, and I think this is true. The first one, excuse me, the first one too, benefits it in that sense that anybody across the world can kind of access it. I will say why I think this is better is one, we've kind of, you mentioned the white savior of it all, which watching it again, watching the original Avatar again in 2022, it's even ickier. It's like, wait,
yes,
you went to an indigenous population, cloned their bodies so that you could like better study them. That's fucked up. Like that's really like there's a few of the Na'vi that are like, these are demon people, we should murder them. I'm like, that is the correct response. This is not. Don't let them think that this is okay. This is not okay.
totally, DJ, which is why the first movie is so, and this movie making money is so interesting too. Like, do people not realize the direct correlation between this and indigenous people around the world?
And that,
like, do people, when people are like loving this movie, are they not understanding what in this country, like in the US, in Mexico, pretty much all around the fucking world,
yeah, globally,
what we have done to indigenous people? Like, are people not making that connection?
I don't know. I will say I think part of the reason I like this movie better is that we've moved away from that particular aspect in this one because we already did it the last one. Jake's here. So it's less there. However, I will say there is an element to the movie that still makes me uncomfortable because the Na'vi are so directly inspired by indigenous people, but they are also aliens and cat people. It almost in its very nature dehumanizes.
I know what you mean.
So there's a point like when they hiss like cats, I'm like, this feels racist, even though they're aliens.
It didn't strike me that way until we have the juxtaposition of them with Spider, which I guess.
Yeah, with the little white boy with dreads running around. I was like, well, this feels kind of problematic.
I thought that character was like, what?
Yeah, I do.
What?
I do like him in that he's a bridge to my favorite character in the movie. I'll get to that in the spoilers because I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. But and also just this will actually help. It'll get the stuff I don't like out of the way. I also think Zoe Saldana, as I think her character's name Natiri, is criminally underutilized. Like pretty much everything Jake does in this movie, I feel like Zoe Saldana should have been doing. And I'm hoping that the reason it wasn't her is because she was in the 13-year, I think it took like 4 years to film this movie. She was busy doing other things, which is why she didn't do more. But it's like, you have Zoe Saldana right there. Why isn't she doing stuff?
I'm super with you.
Yeah.
I think that it's like very, very apparent. That's why I didn't feel like this was less white saviory, because it's still Jake doing all the things.
To the point where he'll come up and tell the Na'vi, hey, you remember this tribe? And it's like, what? Why are you talking to these people like they're new? You weren't born here. What are you doing?
We're still in non-spoilers, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll keep it vague then. I think she's more utilized in the third act.
Yes, she gets a very cool moment in the third act.
In a way that I'm just like, it's a bummer because I think she is dope.
Yes.
But she also does something in the third act that I feel like is so not in her nature and fucked up. And I'm curious what they're trying to say about that.
So right now, we'll use this as our transition into spoilers. We do have a couple Let's answer these questions real quick, and then we'll do spoilers. Clementine asks, not to be spicy, but is the premise of people wearing the husk of indigenous person's body in order to trick the tribe into letting them be studied any less horrifying in the sequel? It is not less horrifying, but it is less important to the plot. Yes, it's better. Leonard Kim asks, is 3D truly the best way to experience Avatar: The Way of Water? I have a hard time with 3D, and he goes on to explain that he has it gives him headaches and stuff. I would say yes on 3D. I would say no on high frame rate. I thought that actively worked against the movie, in my opinion. So I would say,
you can't watch it without a high frame rate.
You can't? Is that not an option? So. Oof. I heard some people trying to decide whether they could see if they could find it in high frame rate, implying that you could find it without it. If you can find it without
that might be true.
I would say watch it without high frame rate, because for me, it made it look like a video game or like motion smoothing on a TV. A lot of times I was impressed with what I was seeing, and then an action scene would kick in. I'm like, oh, why does this look bad? I'm like, oh, high frame rate. So I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. For me, high frame rate did not work.
I feel the opposite of DJ.
Okay.
The 3D thing I really struggled with.
Interesting.
Those glasses, like I can always see out of the side. They make me very dizzy. And I don't know that some of it looked so sick in 3D, but it's like, I just think I don't love 3D.
Fair.
And the frame rate, while actually usually I don't notice it, and this you can't really not notice it. It was, to me, like, even though, like you said, it kind of looks like a video game, I liked that. I was like, oh, that's cool.
All right. So long story short, different strokes for different folks. Whatever works best for you, go to town on it. Hopefully you have the options. Let's go into spoilers. This is everybody listening. This is your spoiler warning. Get the F out of here if you don't want spoilers. I will start, Roxy, because I am on the record as saying that I think the only memorable and interesting character in the original Avatar is the villain, Stephen Lang as Quatrich. And when I was sitting down in this movie, not knowing a lot about it, I was like, am I going to enjoy an Avatar movie without Stephen Lang in it? And James Cameron was like, don't worry, dog. I got you. Because almost immediately they're like, oh yeah, we downloaded your memories, sci-fi bullshit. Now you're in a Na'vi body. I'm like, thank you, movie. And once again, for my money, Stephen Lang is the best part of the movie because he is having a blast being a villain.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good and fun. And I think that I'm very curious in the third movie what their intention is. Yeah, because, we're in spoilers, so I can spoil it. I will call bullshit in the way he survives. I'm sorry. If you're unconscious underwater, you're dead. It's not like you're holding your breath while you're unconscious. No, you're dead. I don't know, though, because the Avatar are different, man.
That's a good point. Solid point. However, when they have final fights happening, which, by the way, that third act fight, fucking the whole... Everything, the battle on the ship sinking, every part of it, I'm like, yeah, this is actually really good. And I was like, you guys can't, listen, you brought Stephen Lang back. You're not going to kill him now. And so when they saved him, I'm like, good call, James Cameron. You've got me hooked for the next however many. And they've already laid the groundwork that they're going to try and redeem his character in some form or fashion. I'm on board. Just don't give me an Avatar movie without Stephen Lang in it. That's all I'm saying.
Sounds like they're not going to. But the thing that we can't not talk about him, and we can't talk about him and not talk about Spider.
Yes,
because that's like what's going on there, and I don't know what went wrong here for me. I feel bad about this because it was filmed so many years ago, and also I don't know what happened, and I don't love speaking on people's performances like this, but like. Whatever happened, his performance didn't work for me.
Yes.
It might have been because of the dialogue. It might be because of the direction. It might be because of but like him hissing and him like speaking and the him of it all was like,
I think if I were to suggest where it might have went wrong with you is I think him being present with the Navi and kind of being kind of like, I'm going to say like a Tarzan, like raised, I hate to use this language, but like raised by the apes kind of a thing, kind of puts into focus everything that kind of doesn't work about the white savior indigenous. Like, it's like, oh, this is all the problems in one character. And they never, he early on in the movie, he's taken in by the invading humans and they don't like give him clothes or cut his hair or like anything. They don't like, it's like, no, you're still this kind of problematic
They call
character.
him feral.
Yeah, they use a lot. They call him Monkey Boy. And I was like, again, you're all alien. I don't know how I feel about this. It's because it's so, I think something that would benefit future movies is if some of the non-Navi humans were not white, and also maybe we introduced Navi that were more imperialistic, like more like Vikings or British, or like in like the Navi just weren't our entire stand-in. Like maybe we could have an indigenous actor that isn't CGI'd. I don't know. Like, and maybe we could have CGI characters that don't explicitly reference indigenous people. Cultures are complicated. Maybe we can get into that a little bit. I don't know.
Is your understanding of Spider taking the fake avatars to get banshees that they saw in his brain, the banshees thing, or that he's just showing them the like way of the Navi?
He's showing them the way of the Navi. In my estimation, Spider is entirely a function of is James Cameron recognizing he has something really cool in Stephen Lang and not wanting, similar to making Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator a good guy in the second movie, like laying the groundwork to where we can get Stephen Lang roughly adjacent with our heroes, and Spider-Man exists almost completely for that purpose. And so in that sense, I don't mind Spider because I appreciate what we're trying to, again, I like Stephen Lang's character, so it's like, yeah, get him on the side of the good guys. If Spider's how we do it, don't love Spider, but I'll take it.
But like, we're supposed to like Spider. Right?
Yeah. Because Sigourney Weaver's teenage character is clearly has a crush on him.
So that was like part of my. I was like, what is this movie trying to say? When we're talking about the visuals, I get everything they were trying to do is sick.
Yeah.
Talking about the story, and I'm like, what is this movie trying to say? In what way is Sigourney Weaver's daughter more Jake and what is her name?
Naturi, yeah.
Jake and Naturi's daughter more than Spider is their son?
Good question. Because they're both adopted. They're not, neither one of them. And for those, I don't know why you're watching this. If you're listening to this, if you haven't seen the movie, but like basically Sigourney Weaver's Kiri character, the daughter of her character from the previous movie, is basically Navi Jesus, the Immaculate Conception, the whole shebang. She's got a weird connection to the planet.
You think they are going with them? You think it's Immaculate Conception? You think she has no dad?
I think she's a reincarnation because in the first movie, Sigourney Weaver's brain gets sucked into Yahweh. That's not the name of the tree god. Yeah, sorry, I apologize. But she gets sucked into the tree, and I think maybe feedback it went into the body. Yeah, I think basically when she's like, "Who's my dad?" Your dad's the planet, my dude. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
because if not, your dad's a rapist. Fuck. Yeah. And like, we don't want to have to deal with that in these movies.
Yeah. The options are your space Jesus or it's gross.
Yeah. Also, how old was Sigourney Weaver? I don't know. I'm not clear on like what happened. I mean, did she birth this child? Like what happened here? But okay.
And it's in her alien clone body. It's tricky.
But just talking about the difference between, what's her name? Kira?
In the movie, I thought they were saying Kitty. Going off of IMDb, it's Kiri, it looks like.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I thought they were saying Kitty, too.
I thought they were saying Kitty, too, which felt weirdly on the nose. I'm like, I get it. They're cat people. And according to IMDb, it's Kiri, Kiri.
So Kiri and Spider.
Yes.
The thing that happens at the end, where Natiri's like, son for son. And
like basically, which, by the way, it was so funny when they're doing like the catching the audience up and they're like, look at all the kids we have. I'm like, one of those kids is expendable. That's why you're showing us so many kids. And then when I kept forgetting the older brother existed, I'm like, sorry, dude, you're not making it out of this movie.
Well, I knew immediately he was going to die because they didn't give him the love interest. They gave the younger brother the love interest.
They gave the younger brother the love interest and the whale. It's like, sorry, older brother, you're not getting out of this movie.
Yeah, and they've deemed you perfect.
Yes.
And
nope.
That was the kiss of death.
You're done for, my guy.
He's the perfect child. I was like, shit. He's
sorry,
dead.
my dude.
Totally. But I thought that was like, I mean, so hard to like identify because again, the cat people, like you're saying, but like it's borderline racist or like xenophobic that she's willing to kill the spider.
Mm-hmm.
And like is like just I felt so bad for him.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like you're treating people how you've been treated. I don't know. The whole thing was like, I don't know that this movie has the tools to deal with this.
Yeah. See,
so
Roxy,
you just, can't think too much about it.
Exactly. Now you're one of the people thinking too much about it. I will say that this one is less distracting on that front than the first one is, but there are still very much just the nature of these movies is problematic. I do think there are things that you could do to help alleviate it. I doubt that they will. But I am more on board with the world. If every movie is just them introducing a new Na'vi tribe that has different physical characteristics and interacts with the environment differently and different creatures they hang out with, honestly, I'm kind of on board with that. Like I'm a sucker for, hey, here's more Na'vi, but they are rock ones. I don't know. Fuck it. Who gives a shit? We had a question here from Jake Hefner. Do we think we'll actually see Avatars 3 through 5 now? It is 3 through 5. I will say, I think 3 and 4 were filmed simultaneously with this one. So yes. Roxy, what are your thoughts on future Avatar movies?
I'd actually be excited about them because I think it looks sick. I'm invested in some of the characters.
Yeah.
I'll see these movies as long as they're making them because for that, like it is a great success that for a 3-hour and 10-minute movie, I was not bored.
Agreed.
I was like,
agreed.
Okay. Like you guys sold me on the length of this. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. So yeah, my thought is that we are still going to see all of those. They made a fucking theme park. So, I mean, this is there's no way this movie doesn't make its money back.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that we don't see the ones that they already shot because a lot of the budget of this movie is going towards that next movie because they shot them simultaneously.
Yeah.
So like, we're going to see it.
Yeah.
And I do like the setup for the next one. I like the fact that now like Spider did what he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what does that mean? And yeah, I'm also, love shipper ships. It is the parts of this that are love stories are beautiful. Like why can't I ever say her name? Natiri?
Yes, I think that's right.
And Jake Sully. The Jake and Natiri partnership, lover of love shipper ships.
Yeah.
The younger son and the daughter of the water.
Yes. Who is played by, I believe, it's hard to tell because they're in CGI. I believe that's Bailey Bass, who was in interview with the new Interview with the Vampire show, which I really like.
Oh,
so
cool.
Good for her.
I like her a lot.
Yeah.
And I like that couple. I would say give me more queer Avatar.
Yeah.
Like where I think that's like bizarro that heterosexual norms on this planet are fucking weird. Like I think and
also the tribes are like weirdly like patriarchal. Like it's like, guy in charge. I'm like, oh, even here? Weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just wouldn't play out like that. So I do think it's very Disney like that we have not like because I feel like they were trying to reference that with Kiri.
Yeah.
Because she was like, why am I so different? Why do I feel so different? And I thought that was going to be a coming out story. It ended up being a Jesus story.
Yes. She's space Jesus.
But still could be. So yeah, I'd be excited if they like want to actually push boundaries and like talk about what what aliens would really be fucking like in the third one. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just if nothing else, it's nice to look at.
It is definitely nice to look at. Yeah, so I would say, I know some people are like, man, I really hated the first one. Should I see this one? I'm like, yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, it's kind of worth it because I also hated the first one and I kind of enjoyed it. So, who knows? Your mileage may vary. Let us know what you think. Before we go, Roxy, what should the kids be looking out for from you?
Check out the calendar, theworldgirls.com. We're sending them out. They're looking fucking great.
You've been posting pictures. They look awesome.
Thank you. We're working our buttocks off on them. I had one literally right here and I just brought it downstairs. Otherwise, I would have just flipped through. Other than that, just find me at Roxy Strider and I'll keep you posted on all the things I'm doing. I'm live every day for December on my YouTube channel because I know this month is really fucking hard for people and I just want you guys to have a place to go. So if you need a friend, then come join me there. Just literally, whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, I'm just saying hi, friendly face.
Links in the description. Check all that out. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. You can find this show everywhere that matters at Only Stupid Answers. But on Twitter and Hive, I believe it's back now.
You ain't got the vowels from stupid. Your Hive thing is throwing me off, my dude.
I'm sorry. I gotta. Man, I can't even. Who knows anymore? It's wild out there. And we got some. This is our last live show for the year, but we got stuff coming out for those listening to the podcast. So stay tuned for all that, and we'll be back soon enough. No, don't shed any tears. And again, Roxy's hanging out with you every day of December, so nothing to miss out here. And Spider-Versity will be dropping through the holidays as well. So if you're a patron, be sure to check that out. And we will see you all next time.